Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's your boy AJ and it's Rage. Oh my God, is Paul George going to the 76ers? Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe. You're now tuned in the Hoops World.
Hoops World.
James.
Right here, the king is like, hey, guess what? I'm still the king.
I hit the streets just to get a bag. I pack, he got toe tagged. I punched the nigga for shorty. I'm John Woo with the 40. You not gang, no the homie. Don't blow me, no, you don't know me. Gang shit, members only. You wasn't there, I was lonely. You wasn't there, I was lonely. Dog nights, blicky on me. I was just stacking my commas up. Head down, trying to run it up. These niggas be steady, be clocking me. Like the D's, yeah, they watching me. That's why I gotta move dangerous.
Yeah, free agency's a banger. Free agency's a banger, bro. I mean, we're getting the news today. It's getting crazy, man. Woj is still tweeting, but we wanted to dedicate this video to the Paul George news. So we got the update today that Paul George is leaving the Los Angeles Clippers. And let me read what the Clippers GM and front office said. They put out a statement. Let me read what it says. It says, "We negotiated for months with Paul and his representative on a contract that would make sense for both sides, and we were left far apart. The gap was significant. We understand and respect Paul's decision to look elsewhere for his next contract. We explored an opt-in and trade scenario, but it would have left us in a similar position under the new CBA with very little asset value to justify the restrictions. We will all miss Paul at the same time. We're excited by the opportunities we've now been afforded, including greater flexibility under the new CBA. Kawhi is an all-NBA player, and we believe Ty Lue is the best coach in the league." All right, guys. So what do you think, man? What was your instant reaction to we've been waiting for this news about Paul George, but what was your reaction to the GM saying that to issuing that statement?
So, well, the era in LA is finally over, right?
Yeah.
It was very disappointing with how it all went down. They were just never really able to get healthy like that. Now it shows now that really hurts. Now that really
Yeah.
hurts because the Clippers are just kind of in a situation where they can't really do much to replace them either.
Yeah.
And that's definitely rough for them because we know what type of player Paul George is. And they're in for a very, 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 very interesting season, given the fact that they just signed Harden and everything too.
Yeah, they gave up a huge haul for they gave up a bunch of draft capital for these two guys, man, Kawhi and Paul George. So and he even mentioned it in the statement here. He was like, we traded a whole bunch for Paul George and Kawhi, and they're very I think that the sticking point that Chris Haynes put was basically that Paul wanted a 4th-year max. He wanted 4-year max, and the Clippers they didn't want to give him the 4-year max. They wanted to give him something around, I guess, 3 years. And Paul said no. Paul wanted that 4-year max. I guess he kind of felt kind of slighted because basically that they prioritized Kawhi, and he saw that Kawhi got that. They didn't tell him about the Kawhi max. He was just kind of surprised about that, and they prioritized him. And then I want you to read Paul George's stats, because I guess from a Clippers fan perspective, if you're a Clippers fan, right, you're probably feeling like, oh my God, Paul George, he left us, he's a bum, this and that. I mean, I want to know, let us know in the comments if you're a Clippers fan, how you feel. But to me, I think they should have prioritized. I know Kawhi is the better player, obviously. He's the all-star, all-NBA guy. He's the number one option, yes. But Paul George has played probably more games than Kawhi has, right? He is probably there. Like every time I think about the Clippers, I think about the playoffs. And every single time I think about the playoffs, I think about Kawhi going down, and it's Paul George by himself. There's countless numbers of times Paul George gets to the playoffs, great stats, great year, and then Kawhi just goes down every single time. But what was Paul's stats for this year and then recently, bro?
So this past year, he played in 74 games, which was more than Kawhi by a few.
Yeah.
He averaged 22.6 points per game, had 5.2 rebounds, 3.5 assists per game, shot at
Yeah.
47.1% from the field, shot at 41.3% from the three, 90.7% from the free throw line.
Yeah.
So, that 3% away at field goal from a 50-40-90 season
Ooh, he had a great year, bro. Do you think
at age 34. At age 34, he had
at
a
age
season like
34?
that.
Now, before we get to the Clippers, what they're gonna do though, but like, do you think Paul George on the 76ers, like, what do you think that is gonna be what do you think is like the outlook for the 76ers? I know they just signed Eric Gordon. You just got Andre Drummond, so they're building something in Philly. How effective can you think Paul? Can you think Paul can go all the way, or they still need like another piece for Philly?
Well, now they are giving the Knicks a run for their money, given what
Mhm.
obviously Mikal Bridges trade not finalized yet, but still
Yeah,
that trade happened, and now it looks like it's like a 4-team battle going on in the East right now.
yeah.
We got the Celtics, we got the Bucks, we got the 76ers, and we got the
Knicks, Celtics, Knicks,
yep,
Bucks, 76ers.
yep. We
Yeah.
got all four, we got all four of them. So
Let me read this really quick by Bobby Marks because Bobby Marks said that, um, okay, this is for the Mavericks have a 16.1 trade exception created from Tim Hardaway. The Lakers and Clippers will be $12.8 million non-tax ML, and 76ers could have a 14 million in room if Paul George signs with them. So they still have 14 million, and they might have an exception. So even if they get Paul George, they could possibly steal Klay Thompson because they were talking to Klay Thompson too. I think Klay can get the most money from the Mavericks, but the 76ers could be right there. If they make some move to drop salary, they could be right there and giving Klay the most money with an exception or an MLE. So if they make that move and get Paul George and Klay, they're cooking. They're cooking. I probably put them top 3. I mean, you could argue Milwaukee and them and the Knicks, but I'm thinking Boston, I'm thinking 76ers and then Knicks. That's what I'm thinking if they get Paul George and Clay and they have a good and they add some like depth bench pieces. If they add good bench pieces, I think they have a chance of being number 2 or number 3. It'll be a fight. Like I said, it'll be a fight.
yeah, because they still have to go and sign a bunch of people too. There's not
Yeah.
that many people on their
It's not
active.
that big. Yeah, they still need to fill out their bench and fill out their depth pieces, but because the thing with the Knicks have a lot of depth. Like they have so many ways they can defend. They got perimeter defenders. They got point of attack. Like 76ers, Paul George is a great two-way player, 50, 40, 90. He's gonna be that strong third second. I guess you would put him in second option or maxi, whatever you want to do it. But then he's a two-way wing, so he can match up with the wings, match up with Tatum and Brown. You sign Kelly Oubre. That's another guy that can match up with the wings on the perimeter. And then you go and get you have Andre Drummond as your backup big. So
Yeah, they did
there's
get him. That was one player that they
yeah,
did
that's
get.
a like I said, you get those 2 wings for Boston or the Knicks, OG, McHale, Paul George, Kelly, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and then you fill out from there. You know what I'm saying? Um, so with the Clippers, right now, if you're a Clippers fan, your salary cap, literally, I'm looking at shout out to Cap Sheets by Yossi. Your salary cap is about 154 million as it stands. With you guys just upped James Harden for $33 million a year. Norman Powell's getting 19, Zubac's getting 11. You don't have a backup big. PJ Tucker's still on the team. Terrence Mann's still on the team. Russell Westbrook, you're trying to move him. You're trying to move Russell Westbrook and PJ. So that's, I guess, the good part. But if you're the Clippers, bro, how do you pivot from this? Because this is a huge hit. They're going to be kind of fighting in the West to even stay alive, possibly even get into like that 6, 7, 8 playoff run. It could be a playing team, to be honest, bro. But what do you think? What is the Clippers' outlook, bro?
It's rough. You just have to look for people to try and fill his void.
Yeah.
You know, they're in a rough situation. You'd almost want to go towards a rebuild, but now it doesn't even make sense anymore. They're just trying to fight for like a play. They're not. I don't know about a playing spot. They might be able to be a little bit higher, but who now it's like, what does Kawhi do?
Yeah, because is Kawhi got to stay healthy. Because if Kawhi, like I said, we go through his games every year. He just breaks down. He's either load managing or he breaks down every year. So when I look at Kawhi on this roster, I'm like, he's probably not going to be here for most of the year. So you're basically going to be with James Harden, Norman Powell, and if Russ stays, he probably not. that's about it, you know. And then you got your bench. You got no backup big. They still got to fill out the roster. It's like there's a chance I've heard that DeMar could go to LA. If they get DeMar, that could change a lot. DeMar DeRozan could change a lot. That will push you a little bit up. And then you could you'll have another guy kind of, it won't be as good as Paul George, but it'll be like as decent. It'll be a little bit like your ceiling will be a little bit better than it is now. Like you guys wouldn't bottom out as bad because DeMar will give you at least 20 points. He's a mid-range assassin. But it's just not Paul George. It's not Paul George. So DeRozan could help it. Like I guess that's the next thing. Maybe they can figure out a way to get DeRozan, but I don't know because they would have to go over the second. They would have like they're 154. They're a little bit below the luxury tax. DeRozan would probably put you in like the second apron if they give him a great big contract. So it's really spicy right now for the Clippers. But let me hit the like button, subscribe. What do you guys think is going to happen? Is Paul George going to be a Philadelphia Sixer? This is going to get crazy. Clippers fans, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at HoopsWorld0. Appreciate you guys so much. We'll be back.